If I started a brand new account and wanted to main archers, I would not build it same way as most players do. A lot of players waste early resources, invest in wrong things and slow down their account progression. In this video, I'm going to show you my full Archer main account plan, which is going to help you a lot because I have played this game for more than 1000 days. I have seen every single update, every single change, and of course I applied those changes to my account, and I will tell you which ones work and which ones does not work, right? First of all, we have to speak why you should choose to be archer main in this game, right? And to answer that question, I will say archers are one of the hardest troop type to actually main in this game. So basically, if you like to play with the hard stuff, which is basically you need to understand small details to do well, then being archer player is your destiny, right? But until we're gonna move towards the priorities, we have to know what archers are actually good at, right? For example, we know that archers are having highest physical attack in whole game. We can compare to infantry, cavalry, and mages of course doesn't have physical attack. So we for sure know that we will have highest damage when it comes to physical attack, right? Second one important thing which we have to mention, which is never written here, is basically counter-attack damage, right? Counter-attack damage means that whenever your opponent is attacking your legion, he or she is receiving damage back. And besides infantry, I think, and it's true, that archers are having second highest counter-attack damage towards your opponents. Also, we have to know that counter-attack damage is basically a normal attack, right? So, when you have the highest physical attack in the game, it means you are dealing highest counter-attack damage towards your opponents. But at the same time, we have some weaknesses which we have to mention, right? Range is the biggest weakness in Call of Dragons for archers because we have one more troop type, which is of course mages, who are having the highest range in the game, right? You might say that's the huge difference, right? I know, I understand, but there is one big but. Whenever you're gonna get closer to mages, you are absolutely going to destroy them, right? Plus, we have such things as long-range warfare in Call of Dragons, which will give you the same range as mage players, and basically this one big weakness can be, well, it won't gonna matter, right? But yeah, during the open field PvP, when there is 100 marches against each other, you having low amount of attack range, lower than mages, it affects your gameplay. But my suggestion will be, try to understand what kind of gameplay you have to play as an archer, get used to it that you have medium range, and by playing this game for maybe 6 months or 7 months, you will understand that this range actually does not really matter that much, right? That's my honest opinion. I have only played with archers, well, not only, I have also played with mages, but most 99% of time I played with archers. And maybe I just got used to it, maybe I never cared about range. It's just me, I'm just sharing my opinions, and hopefully my opinions will be helpful for you, right? So that's the first answer on the question why you should main archers. I hope I gave you all the details which is important to know, and now we're gonna start speaking about specifics of being archer main, right? Whenever we are speaking about specifics, of course, we are going to start with the faction, right? I will be straightforward. Best faction to be archer main is Wilderburg. Of course, I understand starting hero is not Archer, Springwarden starting hero is Archer, League of Orders starting hero is Mage, and Wilderburg starting hero is Infantry. Also, I understand that in faction bonuses there is nothing written regarding archers. On League of Order we have defense increase for magic units, and here we have march speed, which is great for the cavalry. But these two things, the starting hero and faction bonuses, is not that important, right? Because Legion physical attack is always beneficiary for the troop type which has highest physical attack in the game. And as I have mentioned already in the video, highest physical attack in Call of Dragons has only archers, right? Now I will go to specific why this faction is the best faction for the archer main players. One thing, we have flying unit which is wyverns, and also I know that wyverns are not the strongest flying units in the game, but at the same time it's another marksman troop which you are going to use, right? Whenever you are doing your research, it doesn't say you are researching attack for flying units, right? It will be only for archers, mages, the cavalry or infantry. So whenever you are upgrading archer marksman buffs, you are going to buff your Wyvern Riders. Also, Wyvern Riders are having pretty cool gameplay by flying around the battlefield, and it will be useful for you, trust me, because more archer troops you are going to have, it will be better for your all-around account, because of course you are going to invest in archer heroes, in archer artifacts, and so on, right? So the synergy will be real. Now, what's the most important? Why Wilderburg is the best faction for archer players is the simple fact that Spearman has the best buff for the physical attack damage dealers, right? We know that every single troop has a different kind of buffs. The Springwonders archers are reducing march speed but increasing physical attack. League of Orders ballistas are increasing normal attack damage, but Wilderburg's Spearman, he has a buff which is increasing all damage dealt to your enemies. What does it mean? All damage dealt buff is increasing every ways of dealing damage. Skill damage, normal attack damage, counter attack damage, crit damage. So basically all the sources which you have to deal damage to your opponent, this one buff will increase all of them at the same time. That's why it's the main factor. These three words are the main factor why Wilderburg is the best faction for the archer main gameplay. So hopefully it will be easy for you to understand. I know for the beginning it's not that great because you are having Bahar as your starting hero, but later stages of the game there is not a single faction which is better than Wilderburg in terms of archer gameplay, right? And yeah, it's basically enough for the faction and which faction you should choose if you are archer player just like me. Also, well, as I already mentioned regarding wyverns and the priority builds, well, researches and constructions always matter, right? We should never forget that army recruitment buildings, when you are increasing level, is giving you buffs, right? Basically, it's not only for archer mains, it's for every single troop type main. You have to increase the maximum levels on your army recruitment buildings, also towards hospitals, because hospitals are also giving you open field PvP buffs. For example, hospitals are giving you 0.5% HP bonuses for all your troops, which is good thing to know whenever you are playing Call of Dragons, especially if you are a PvP player. Well, in the research tab, there is a couple of buffs which is really important to focus on, and of course I will mention them, right? Defensive formations, Legion defense, assault strategies, Legion attack, first aid 1, Legion HP. These are the buffs which are really important to focus on, right? Even pathfinding, right? Because Legion March Speed is super important, because if you are running archers, you have low medium range. If you have high March Speed, you are covering your range super fast, so you basically don't care about mages who are having higher range. Also, here we know that First Aid 2 is also Legion HP buff, Assault Strategies 2 is Legion attack buff, and Defensive Formations 2 is Legion defense buff. Basically, these four and plus this one are the most important buffs to have as an archer player, right? Especially, as I have mentioned, whenever you have highest attack in the game, every single percentage will increase your overall attack even more than to other troop types. So assault strategies is most priority for you because at the end of the day you will have highest physical attack in the game plus the help of your faction bonus, which is 3%. So basically you are going to go towards the biggest attack in the game whenever you are in open field PvP. Of course, as an archer main, my advice would be to focus on unlocking tier 5 archers first. That should be your priority. That's the one priority which you should have always on your mind. After that, well, in my opinion, you can see I got tier 5 mages. I'm slowly getting tier 5 infantry and tier 5 cavalry, but for me, most important is tier 5 archers here, tier 5 wyverns, because both of them are marksman troops, and in the end, Pathfinding 3 will give us 10% more march speed, legion march speed, which is super amazing for the archer gameplay. So basically, that's how I always looked at the research tab. That was always my priorities whenever I was increasing the research skills and unlocking them in the future, right? Hopefully, I will finish this one soon. I will be really, really happy. So let's go to the more details, more specifics for the archer main gameplay. And when we are speaking about specifics, we should always mention heroes, right? That's the biggest topic because, well, especially if you are a free-to-play player, even if you are pay-to-pay player, you will never have unlimited amount legendary tokens to have all of your heroes to max awakening, max stars, and so on, right? So, as an archer main, when you start the game, you have only two choices. That's Inara or Neeko, right? Especially if you are a free-to-play player. Well, Neeko will be easier for you to unlock because Neeko is gold keys, gold chest hero, which is best free-to-play version of unlocking and increasing levels on your legendary heroes. And Inara is basically your lucky spins hero, right? Where we have to spend gems in order for you to actually awaken and increase levels, right? My advice, in order for you to have enough legendary tokens, well, it got changed, right? Because I would go for Neeko. I would go for Neeko because it would make my gems saved much more. I would not spend a lot of gems awakening Inara. And Neeko finally got some good hero pair for the late game gameplay, which is really, really wearable, and I'm still using him, right? I know most of my videos I said that Inara should be your primary hero because I always mentioned it's one of the most versatile archer legendary hero, basic one especially. But for a free-to-play players, unfortunately, there is much more better priorities to spend gems in this game other than Inara, right? Because I already know what kind of heroes are coming next for you. And it will be easier for you to spend gems and better for you to spend gems on other things than G1 hero Inara. Well, if you are a pay-to-play player, my advice would be to awaken both of them, Inara and Neeko. But if you have to make a decision, Neeko would be the choice because you would not spend your gems on lucky spins on Neeko. You will be able to get a lot of legendary tokens from the gold chest, and slowly you will awaken him, right? After that, if you are a free-to-play player, we know that next heroes for archers are Cindrion and Freygar, right? As a free-to-play player, I can say that I skipped Cindrion and Freygar because at that time I was still awakening my Inara, I was still putting some tokens on Neeko, and I knew that if I stopped here, I would not have Neeko awakened, I would not have Inara awakened, right? That's why during that time, I did not put a single legendary token on Cindrion and Freygar. This Freygar I got from the recovery event, so that's not the natural path how you can awaken heroes. So, for a free-to-play player, my advice would be to not put your legendary tokens on Cindrion and Freygar, because we know that the next legendary hero is basically coming to the Magrat and Zyda, right? That's the time when archers are becoming the strong troop type in the game. This is the place in G3 when Magrat and Zyda comes out in Call of Dragons, when we are actually starting to get amazing amount of merits, 100k plus merits, which is super amazing, right? Before that, Kinara, Nico, Syndrion, Freygar, they basically did same amount of merits in open field PvP, only exclusion was of course Magrat and Zaida. And Magrat and Zaida, till this day, they are getting one of the highest amount of the merits in open field PvP. So how would you build it, right? Magrat should be 5-5-1, because 1 here we are having Garrison skill and we don't care about Garrison skill in open field PvP. Zaida should be awakened, right? Awakening skill of Zaida will basically give you more damage in less time, right? Without awakening skill of Zaida, you will have to spend more time attacking same hero pair, and then in the end, in like 5 or 10 seconds, that's when you're gonna start dealing full damage. But when you awaken Zaida, straight up, you are getting straight stacks. You are basically reducing the highest damage by the 3 to 5 seconds, which is really important, especially in open field PvP, because every single second actually matters. So, out of all heroes which we already know, Kinara, Nico, Syndrion, Freygar, Magrat and Zaida, Magrat and Zaida is your number one priority. Especially if you are a free-to-play player. That's why we skipped Freygar and Syndrion, because we wanted to put all of the legendary tokens, universal ones, to Magrat and Zaida. So, this is your number one mark. Invest in Magrat, invest in Zaida, you will see how important they are, right? The next one which is coming out is Falgrim and Sybil, right? What I can say about Falgrim and Sybil. For example, for Sybil, I believe Sybil is amazing during the rallies. Sybil is not the best legendary hero for open field PvP. Sybil is nice pair for some Kinara hero pairs and even for some Falgrim, but I believe Falgrim has something better to pair rather than Sybil, right? Falgrim can be amazing hero pair for Nico. This is the hero pair I'm currently running, right? But what can I say? I would not be suggesting you to invest all of your legendary tokens towards Falgrim, because that's not the way I have done it myself. I just put some levels, some legendary tokens used on Falgrim, but when I understood that Ruby and Island was coming out, well, I basically stopped putting legendary tokens on Falgrim, and I already started collecting tokens to invest in Ruby as fast as possible, right? That's the way I built my account, and that's the way I'm trying to play this game. So second highest priority in terms of legendary heroes in Call of Dragons for archer mains, besides Magrat and Zaida, it's Ruby and Kylan. These two hero pair, Magrat and Zaida, Ruby and Kylan, is the number one priority out of all which you should focus to put your legendary tokens. These two hero pairs are going to give you highest amount of merits. If we're gonna compare other ones, they are basically getting you same amount of merits. Only Magrat and Zaida and Ruby and Kylan are different breed, right? Hopefully, after watching this video, it will be easier for you to plan out which legendary heroes you should actually put your legendary tokens, and you won't gonna make a mistake, right? Of course, video is not stopping here. We have a lot of things we should discuss, and of course we have to discuss gems priorities, where you should put your gems, and so on, right? I think having Forge of Light is a perfect moment for me to speak about this event. Before, I was always saying that Universal Artifact Compendium is the best artifact event in this game where you should spend your gems, but after a lot of updates, things got changed, right? Things got changed because we got something new which is called Exemplar Wish, right? Which will make your legendary artifacts red, and they are getting unique abilities towards those artifacts, right? In order for us to actually unlock Exemplar Wish, we have to do 2000 draws on Forge of Light or Riches of the Forest, right? Which is not that easy. You have to spend a lot of gems. That's the main reason why I skipped giving advice regarding Inara, because for Inara you have to spend gems. It will be way better, especially from the start, to put your gems on example on Forge of Light, because you will have a higher number here, right? Of course, at the end of the day, if you will have 2000 draws, you will be able to unlock Exemplar and your artifacts will be even better. So the usage of the gems and the events where you should put your gems, I would say after the update of Exemplar Wish, Forge of Light priority is number one. This is the best event where you can actually spend your gems and get some artifacts for your own gameplay, for sure, right? Because you can see I played more than 1000 days Call of Dragons. Forge of Light was never my priority because at that time Exemplar Wish never existed. And yeah, after the update, Exemplar Wish is here, and I have only done 800 draws, which is really low amount. I will have to spend a lot more gems in order for me to actually unlock this feature of the game, right? So if you are starting the game from the start, if you will start collecting these draws, it will be super useful for you, and you will basically unlock this feature of this game sooner than me, right? Which I played 1000 days and I still don't have it. So Forge of Light, number one priority. Second priority for the artifact events is of course this one, right? Anointed and Conqueror Compendiums. Well, before it was my number one priority because for 30k gems you are guaranteed getting 2 legendary artifacts. That's basically how I got most of the artifacts, but after the Exemplar Wish feature, the priority changed in my opinion. And that's the only reason why I'm putting Forge of Light first and Universal Artifact Compendium second, right? Also, since we spoke about the events for the artifacts, for sure we have to speak about the artifact priorities in this game, right? First of all, we have to know that the basically normal artifacts, which is free-to-play artifacts, are Shadow Blades and Heart of Kamasi. Especially at the start of the game, if you are going to unlock Shadow Blades or if you are going to unlock Heart of Kamasi, you should be super happy because those are the artifacts which you are basically going to use for a long time until you will start using some exclusive ones, right? Especially if you invested in Nico, well, Shadow Blades is pretty nice artifact for Nico gameplay just for pure damage, right? But if we are speaking about the priorities for the Archer gameplay, the artifacts, of course we have to speak about Gilded Crossbow, right? This is the artifact which I still believe it's the best artifact in the game. This artifact comes out during the Magrat and Zaida introduction of the game, which is basically the main artifact for Magrat and Zaida, right? The biggest factor why I think this is the still best artifact in the game is of course enemy HP bypass, which is the best offensive stat towards your opponents in Call of Dragons, and also 50% March speed bonus, which allowed me to escape a lot of hard moments and also allowed me to catch a lot of opponents who are basically running away from me. So this March speed bonus, which you are going to use while working, will be huge factor on you to get a lot of merit. So number one priority for the artifacts in Call of Dragons for Archer mains is Gilded Crossbow, and second one is of course Roaring Rager, right? Roaring Rager is exclusive artifact for Ruby and Kylan gameplay, and Roaring Rager has something which not a single other artifact actually have. And that's basically reducing the cooldown of your artifacts whenever you are using Ruby and the Kylan, right? So basically, you will be able to use Flaming Fangs twice and every single other artifact skill once. Because, well, whenever you are using Volley, which is the skill of the Ruby, you are reducing this artifact skill cooldown by these 3 seconds. And also, not only that, you are going to increase physical attack bonus up to 10%, and of course you can see how much scale damage factor this skill can actually do, right? So if I would say what's the most priority artifacts for Archer gameplay, I would say number 1 is Gilded Crossbow, number 2 is Roaring Rager, and number 3 would be Rattlespear or Iron Tusk. I would say if you have already unlocked Exemplar Wish feature, Rattlespear is super amazing because without Exemplar Wish, you won't gonna be able to use this artifact while moving, but with Exemplar Wish, you will be able to use it while moving away, right? Same goes to Iron Tusk. So basically, these are number 1 priority, number 2, and 3 would be, depending which hero pairs you invested, these ones are the number 3 priorities. But it doesn't really mean that Shadow Blades and Heart of Gamasi is bad. My first 1 or even 2 years, my most used artifact was Heart of Gamasi and Shadow Blade. So it doesn't really mean that they are bad. I'm just saying the best ones which we have in the game, right? Of course, when we spoke about gems and spending gems in the game, we should always remember that going forward, when you are trying to save as much gems as possible because of the Forge of Light, we have to always remember that VIP store is really important, right? No matter you are archer main or you are mage main or infantry or cavalry, you have to go to level 8, right? If you are not going to level 8, then you are making big mistake because you are unlocking second research queue, and what's the most important, on a daily basis you are getting legendary hero token 1 per day. If you are a free-to-play player, this will allow you to invest in specific heroes for archers, for example, and try to prioritize which heroes you are going to use these legendary hero tokens, right? Of course, my advice would be to use your gems to get level 8, and after that, stop using your gems on membership points. Get in a good alliance. Try to get in alliance which is active with pay-to-play players, and by those alliance gifts, you are going to get level 10, level 11, and level 12, right? Level 13 and level 14. Here, I'm on level 14, I'm getting 2 legendary hero tokens, and when I increased from 30 to 40, it was a huge boost because Awakening Heroes, legendary heroes, got even faster when I actually did that, right? So yeah, that's for more gem spendings and which ones, where you can actually spend your gems wisely in Call of Dragons, which is also really important, right? And yeah, I didn't really forget, we also have one more feature of the game, which is war pets, right? I always mentioned that war pets are basically third heroes, so understanding and knowing which war pets you should put your war pet currencies is the biggest priority, right? So when we start the game, we have Snowy Croak. It's pretty easy to understand when you have only one war pet, which says it's marksman, and you are archer main, marksman main. You have to put your resources here, right? Well, what's the idea behind Snowy Croak? It's of course defense break. And which heroes are applying defense break? Neeko is applying defense break from the first skill, and Inara is applying defense break from the awakening skill. So for the beginners, easier way to apply defense break and use the Snowy Croak in a perfect combination would be Neeko by the first skill. Of course, if you have awakened Inara, awakened Neeko, it will be easier for you to proc concentration, but other than that, both of them will be working absolutely fine. So for beginners, priority is to go for Snowy Croak here, because that's the only war pet which you can actually use your currencies. The next war pet which coming out is of course Nighthawk, right? Nighthawk is a perfect war pet for Freygar and Syndrion gameplay. If you decided that you're gonna follow my path, as I skipped Syndrion and Freygar, I also skipped Nighthawk, right? Because I knew Magrat and Zaida was coming out, and the biggest priority for the Magrat and Zaida gameplay is of course Shadow Manticore, right? Shadow Manticore is basically the best war pet for Magrat and Zaida, and if I said that your first priority is to make your Magrat and Zaida great, then for the war pets, it's basically same, right? Best hero pair for G3, best war pet for G3 for archers. That's why you can see most stars I have in terms of skill levels is on my Shadow Manticore, right? I will show you here. this one and this one and this one. So after Shadow Manticore, as we know, as a number one priority, then comes Barbed Manticore. Barbed Manticore is the warped for Falgrim gameplay, basically. Falgrim and Nico gameplay, because we also need to have defense break. If we don't have defense break, Puncture will actually inflict defense break itself, but if you already inflicted, you are getting 50 rage, which is great. Falgrim and Nico is skill damage user, which needs to have rage, so on Nico, you will for sure apply defense break from the first skill, and when you do that, you are getting 15 rage, and Nico and Falgrim loves to have rage to use this skill damage factor damage dealing abilities, and it works absolutely fine. But if I would say that the Barbed Manticore should be your priority, I would be lying, right? Same goes here. If you have enough time, of course, put your stars on Puncture also, but since we are speaking about the priorities, Shadow Manticore is your number one priority, and your number two priority is Wind Weasel, right? This is the exclusive warped for Ruby and Island gameplay, and basically same story as I mentioned regarding Magrat and Zaida and Shadow Manticore, right? These two are the priorities, and other ones like Snowy Croak, Nightrock, and Barbed Manticore are basically fillers, right? And that's the more reason why you should actually focus on one troop type, because imagine I went and put everything on Snowy Croak, then I went and put everything on Golden Rock, then for example Sand Lizard. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have enough currencies to have this kind of Shadow Manticore or this kind of Barbed Manticore, right? So that's the reason why these kind of videos are important, not only for free-to-play players, but also to pay-to-play players, right? Never forget, Warpeds are not accessory, they are basically like a third heroes, right? So hopefully, after watching this video, you already know what's the priorities, right? So I wanted to say one more thing. There is like one phase. I can show you the path pretty soon, pretty easily. For beginners, go and awaken Nico or awaken Kinara. For free-to-play players, go and skip Freygar and Cindrion and awaken Zaida and basically awaken Magrat. Then basically chill for the Falgrim and Sibyl and awaken Ruby and Kylan. With the artifacts, it goes same. Try to unlock Shadow Blades and Heart of Gamasi, it will be useful. Go full hard mode on Galded Crossbow and Roaring Rager. For the Warpeds, go and start investing in Snowy Croak, because that's the only Warped you have at the start. Then go full mode on Shadow Manticore and go full mode on Wind Weasel. This would be my priorities if I started the game, and I know a lot of players are saying that marksmen are the weak troop type. I would say marksmen are not weak. Marksman is just hard to play. If you understand how you can play with the marksman, you will be able to get huge amount of merit. And as you can see, 99% of my merits, which you can see here, almost 36 million merits, I only got by marksman gameplay. And can you imagine, I only healed 1 million tier 4 wyverns while getting this amount of merits in a one single KVK. And of course, you can always go and check my past videos. I explained in details how I got these merits and by what and what was the main factors. So my idea, marksmen are not weakest, marksman is the hardest. That's why I always try to share my experiences to make it easier for you to build the perfect archer marksman account and actually have fun doing that, right? Of course, one more thing, one of the newest features of the game is of course Reliquary, right? We have to speak about the best legendary archer cities themes which we have in the game. Currently we have Galded Temple, the next one is Brave Storm, and the last one is Pearl Palace. By the looks, Galded Temple is the best one by the looks, but it's not only about looks, right? It's always about the attributes when you have equipped these legendary themes. Galded Temple, marksman unit defense, Brave Storm, marksman unit attack, and Pearl Palace, Marksman Unit, HP Bypass. Out of these three, the best attribute is actually Marksman Unit HP Bypass. Basically, you are ignoring your opponent's HP and you are dealing pure damage. And by having highest physical attack in the game, having HP Bypass, same like in Gauntlet Crossbow, we have HP Bypass. This is super amazing attribute for archer gameplay. If we are comparing these three, this one will give you highest merits. Second tier will be Brave Storm with the Marksman Unit attack, and the last one will be Gilded Temple, right? Of course, I wish we have the better looking legendary archer city themes for the archer gameplay, but what we can do, it is what it is, right? So yeah, this should be the priority. This is amazing buff. It will help you a lot. It will increase the damage and merits on every single archer heroes which you are using in open field PvP. So this one would be the perfect combination with the archer gameplay. HP Bypass is super amazing. I believe Magic Unit HP Bypass is even worse, and Marksman Unit HP Bypass is even better if you are archer main. So yeah, I tried my best to share my 1066 days of gameplay experience. Hopefully it was fun to watch. Hopefully you understand more than you knew before regarding archer gameplay, and if you did, as always, press like, subscribe, share. It gives me more and more motivation to make more content for this game. I wish everybody amazing day, morning and night. We are going to see each other really soon. Bye bye and good luck.